Well, a very Merry Christmas to all of you. Our theme this month has been the love and light of Christmas. And again, we had this beautiful candle lighting ceremony on Wednesday, and we are still enjoying this essence today. We really love it. And the light that we have today and always is represented not only in these candles, but as we talked about at the candle lighting, within ourselves, that we each have this candle glowing, burning brightly, that is a wick that goes all the way through us. This divine energy of love flows through us at our core essence. And each of us has the opportunity to light and share our candle of light in our own perfect way. And we will do this. And I want you to be aware, consciously aware, of how you are allowing your light to shine and to glow and to burn in this coming week. As I mentioned in my thought for the week, there is a saying, and I don't remember where the origin of it came from, but it makes so much sense to me, and I love it every time I think about it. It says, joy is peace dancing, and peace is joy resting. And I love the way that those two qualities are just so intertwined, and it is so true. Don't you feel that? That energy, that peace is just this divine energy, but that joy is also peace that's just dancing and moving and grooving and all of those things as well. God so loved the world that he gave us a way shower. He gave us a Christ. He gave us a Son. He gave us an example that we are love, that we are infinite in our God love. And Jesus told us in John, peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, and neither let it be afraid. And again in John later he said, if you abide in me and my words abide in you, you shall ask what you will, and it shall be done unto you. If you keep my commandments, you shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. These things I have spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full. In those two verses in John, just very near to each other, he talks about the peace that he is giving us, and he is talking about the joy that Christ consciousness is giving us. This is the gift of the season, is the peace and the love and the joy. So much. You realize that our theme this month has actually been, I took it from the Advent publication that came out from Unity. How many of you grabbed one at the beginning of December? Have you been reading this? Yes? And that's where I got the theme for this month's talks are the love and light of Christmas. And at the end of the book, because we're just about at the end of Advent, I'll tell you, we're right there. There is a beautiful rendition in here that someone wrote of a candle lighting service. The Unity path, tradition, Charles Fillmore really emphasized the 12 gifts, the 12 spiritual powers that all of us have. And so this individual has written a 12-power candle lighting service, basically is what it is, and she's assigned different colors to it. But what she's using is the Christmas story. That Christmas story is so symbolic. There are so many things that Christmas story represents. And so I thought it would be fun to read to you this recognition of how the Christmas story symbolizes the various powers that we have within us. And so the first one says the first power is faith, and that is represented by Mary. Mary has a very special place in our hearts because she is quintessential quintessential, thank you, activity of faith. The angel Gabriel, a divine visitor, knocked on the door of her heart, asking her to do the impossible. This news probably brought some fear and filled her with questions. Yet the moment she stepped forward in faith and into an unknown future, she created a space within herself for infinite possibilities to be born. How many times have we had the opportunity when something has knocked on our hearts, given us that little indication that perhaps this is something that I should be doing or something that is available to me, and we have had that fear. We have had that consternation about it. Really? You think so? And so what we bring into ourselves, recognizing the power that we have, is the power of faith. We can't see in the physical realm what the Christ, what the Spirit, what the Holy Spirit has for us. But we need to step out in faith and say yes, like Mary did. The second power that she talks about is strength, and that is represented by the shepherds. In the Gospel of Luke, the shepherds are tending to their sheep when the angels appear. They are doing what they have done for generations, watching over what is precious and necessary for life. They represent the endearing, living light of strength, the power and purity of steadfast perseverance we embody as we navigate life. The shepherds are that voice within reminding us we are not alone. When we shepherd our thoughts, when we tend to those things in life that give us sustenance, that we're using that strength within ourselves to take care of what it is in life that we've been given to tend. Recognize that. Recognize the strength that you have within yourself to persevere, to do the things that ought to be done by you. The third power is wisdom, represented by the three wise men. Imagine that. In the time of Jesus, the Magi, or wise men, had wisdom by being in touch with another reality. When they had the vision of Jesus' birth, they chose to act on it, at great risk to their own well-being. The Magi represent our capacity to seek guidance and answers, and to use that wisdom to create a world that works for all. We have within us this wisdom represented by the three wise men in the Christmas story, that each of us are here to bring our gift to the world. Recognize that each of you have a gift to give. The next power is that of love. These are the gifts of the Magi. In the Gospel of Matthew, the gifts the wise men bring to Jesus are gold, frankincense, and myrrh, rare, precious, and priceless in Jesus' world. The Magi traveled from faraway nations and knelt before the Christ child as a sign of love and devotion. These gifts remind us that we are each worthy of giving and receiving the priceless gift of love and belonging. How much love do we have to give? How much love do we have within us? When we recognize that we are this love, we just allow it to come forth. See with those eyes of love in this coming week. Power is another power, and it is represented by the town of Bethlehem. In Hebrew, Bethlehem literally translates to house of bread. In early Christianity, it began to mean house of living bread, which we would call the power of truth. This power is the foundation on which we stand, infusing our words, thoughts, and deeds to transform the world. Each of us is a powerhouse. And we use that power, we demonstrate and allow that power to come forth through us, through our words, through our actions, through our deeds. Think about that as you go through all of the events, saying tomorrow of Christmas Day. I know we all have certain plans coming up. I'm going to do this, that, da, da, da. And recognize how much power you have to demonstrate all of these qualities of love and joy and peace that are truly yours. Imagination is represented by the star of Bethlehem. In the Gospel of Matthew, the wise men were guided by the star of Bethlehem to the newborn baby. It lit their path, allowing them to follow a way to the beginning of a new world. The star symbolizes our ability to imagine and envision a transformed world and allow that vision to express the Christ. We talk a lot about, in this teaching, about the value of our intentions, about the value of our vision of what it is that we want to have experienced in our lives. And this imagination is what draws those experiences to us. The more vivid our imagination is, the stronger the draw is in the universe to bring those people, those situations, those experiences to us. I can remember Charles Fillmore talked about the imagination being the scissors of the mind. Like a seamstress, when you cut out a pattern, you cut out a fabric, and how that imagination, those thoughts that you're giving, that you're consistently repeating to yourself, are going to be drawn to you. So recognize how you are using your power of imagination in this coming week. Joseph is represented by the power of understanding. Joseph, the husband of Mary and father to Jesus, inspires us to view life through another's eyes. Joseph's character is strong and quiet, yet he has a desire to know the world in a more profound way, regardless of his challenges. Understanding. Can you imagine, just think about what must have been going on through Joseph's life. What his take on this whole venture was. That he was the guardian. He was the father to this Christ child that is being birthed. And he is Mary's husband. He is there to understand all of the different elements that are going into this Christmas story, this Christmas experience. Each of us has that Joseph understanding within us, regardless of our demeanor. If we are gender, female, male, it doesn't matter. We all have that understanding heart within ourselves. Recognize that. The angel Gabriel is representing the power of will. The angel Gabriel comes to Mary to let her know that she will miraculously give birth to a child. Little did she know he would be a way shower for the world on how to love, give, and forgive. The word angel means messenger from God. This divine visitor knocking on Mary's heart with a message that seemed impossible reminds us that our angels represent the will of our higher self, leading and calling us to forgive more fully and love more deeply. Will. How many times have we said it's God's will? And so many times it's been some catastrophe that is, but it must be God's will. And what we want to recognize is that God's will is always, always, always for our highest and best. God's will is always for our growth, for our betterment. And yes, there are times when we will need to release some things, when we need to forgive, we need to let go. When we allow the will of God, that love that we are, to come forth. We are always embracing more and more and more of our infinite self. Divine order is represented by the manger. The writer of Luke tells us that when Jesus was born, he was wrapped in cloth and laid in a manger. This is an extraordinary, humble beginning. Yet this simple, often unseen barnyard trough is a symbol for that current of spiritual law that is ever present and always accessible. The Christmas story is set in a very humble setting. That this manger that the Christ child is in is right there within the animals, within nature. I always look at our heart as the manger that this Christ child of love is being birthed into, and that we hold in the manger of our hearts this love that is being brought to us this Christmas. Zeal is another power, and it's represented by the heavenly host. The prophet Isaiah wrote that a child would be born, the Prince of Peace, and heavenly host would express the zeal of the Lord. In the Gospel of Luke, the heavenly hosts ring out the song of Jesus' birth, and suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly hosts, a truly awe-inspiring image to represent the universal force that urges us to grow and enthusiastically move forward in life. Zeal. We don't really use that word very much anymore, do we? The zeal. Charles Fillmore, who was instrumental, obviously, in coming up with our unity messages, wrote when he was, I think, 93 years old, "I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm for all the things that shall be done by me this day." And what a great way to be, to fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm. And that's what we're talking about today, is the joy. That's how we are releasing this joy. Oh, guess what? The next power is release. It's represented by the prophets and King David. In Scripture, Jesus' lineage and connection to King David are highlighted, as are the prophets who foretold the coming of the Messiah. These characters show us that while our story matters, where, who, and what we come from, they also invite us to see what they may need to let go of on our spiritual journey. Remember, life is a give and a take. It's a continual flow. And so we remember that there are times when we're going to need to release. We need to let go. And that's perfectly fine, because we can't receive if our hand is clenched. We can't give if our hand is clenched. We have to have it open. And the last power is that of life, represented by Jesus. Christmas comes at the darkest time of the year, the setting in which Jesus' birth stories were written. Is it any wonder, then, that we yearn for the rich language of light, luminous, blazing, glowing, radiant, sparkling, shining, brilliant? Light is deep within us as a symbol of what is most sacred, divine, and alive. It is life itself. We have been given this gift of life to do with whatever we want. We have been given this free will, this infinite spirit within us to play on this earth plane however it is that we wish to do it. I don't know about you, but I know earlier this week that something was coming up in my mind, and it was one of those old tapes. Did you ever get these old tapes run for you? And the old tape was running. And I stood there and I thought, wait a minute. Do I have to re-listen to this rerun again? I don't. I have a choice. I can think a new thought. Imagine that. I can think something that feeds me, that nourishes me, that gives me love and light and happiness. That's my choice. Let me think that. This whole gift of this Christmas season is awesome. It's one that allows us to feel and express this infinite joy that we are, this infinite love that we are. I will tell you the truth. There is nothing like the gift of spirit. And I wish that all of you are going to discover at a deeper level what this love, what this joy, what this peace really is giving you this Christmas season. Because what you discover what you are, then you're going to be able to light that candle, to let that wick burn in your perfect way. And so I want to just wish you something that will feed you, will fill you, will give you this infinite joy this coming season. Christmas time is a time for wishing, dreaming dreams that might come true, and for singing songs especially written, full of Christmas wishes for you. Christmas time is a time for sharing, giving gifts and spreading cheer in the tinsel shimmer of the season. Don't forget the reason it's here. Throw away the paper, forget about the bow. The wish that comes with Christmas is all you need to know. Here's a wish for you at Christmas. May your days be full and bright. May you live in love and laughter, and may God give you his light. That's my wish for you at Christmas, and I'm sure it will come true. Here is love enough to make it happen. Here's a Merry Christmas, Christmas wish for